Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. I am Matty Big Chest, and today I'm bringing you another campus video. Today we're going to be talking about the top 2022 prospects for Devy and C2C and your Dynasty teams. So when we get into it, there's a lot of wide receivers in this class that I like. So the wide receiver core is going to outnumber the running backs on this list. I didn't list any of my quarterbacks to keep it skill position only. So people like Malik Willis, Matt Corral, and Desmond Ridder are going to be left off this list. They would usually be in there otherwise. So starting with number one, this is not my number one player. This is just my top 12, no ranking. So just want to say that before I start going into it. Number one is going to be George Pickens. We're going to talk about him a little bit. Georgia receiver. He came in as a freshman and just kind of dominated there. Big frame. He's 6'3", I believe. Could be listed as 6'5", but I think he's 6'3". He's a good weight on him, 220 something. And, the freshman year in the Sugar Bowl, he had 12 receptions for 175 yards. Big breakout in a big game, man. So George Pickens, for that reason, I think that he is one of the top 12 prospects in this class. I think that he declares, which he should, he'll go in the first round. He's got that kind of freakish build that reminds me of a DK Metcalf. So Pickens, good run blocker as well, played on a team that just runs the ball a lot, so has to do that a lot, and they ask that a lot of him. So, he did get some penalties for unsportsmanlike conduct and stuff like that last year, but, I think he's going to be able to work through that. Might be a little bit of a diva, who knows, but I'm not going to say that. I think he can work through that and be a better player. So my second receiver is Treylon Burks. This is one of my favorite prospects in this class. He's not built like your typical receiver. He's 6'3", like 230 something, and he is built like Derrick Henry if Derrick Henry played receiver. So in this year, in 2021, he's averaging 17.9 yards per reception. And even in this year included, he's had over 500 yards receiving. So I just think that's pretty impressive to come in as a freshman, go over 500, the next year go over, I think it was like 700, 900 yards. And then this year have over 500 yards as well already. So Berks, and for that reason, I think he's going to go pro this year. He should. He's kind of a big slot, built like a Chase Claypool kind of player, almost built like a tight end, but he's not. So he'll be a decent wide receiver for whoever picks him up. I think a great landing spot for him would be the 10 Titans, but who knows if Julio Jones is going to stay there for a couple more years. Moving on to my next prospect, we're going to talk about the Ohio State wide receivers now. I have Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson coming up next. Chris Olave, we're going to talk about him first. I have him a little higher in my overall rankings than Garrett Wilson because he is a great route runner. The way he gets out of his breaks, the amount of separation he creates, it's something that you need on your team, and he's going to be someone who's going to be consistently open in the NFL because, he does lack yards after the catch. Doesn't really get much. He just kind of falls down after catching. And this is a guy who has 29 touchdowns in his career. So this is a guy with a lot of production, just overall a great athletic skill set. If you're looking at ability plus talent, then this is the guy. This is the guy who makes that click. He's got all the ability and he has all the talent. All that work he puts into his route running is that ability, and all that talent is that athleticism, and he creates a lot of separation. So moving on to Garrett Wilson, this is a guy that has overall higher upside than Chris Olave. Great body control when he's catching the ball. If you go watch him, he makes some great contested catches. But the thing that worries me about those contested catches is, why is he getting contested catches if he has the speed? He should just be burning people. But, he is a little, he needs to improve on his breaks so he isn't relying on contested catches. A little undersized for someone who should be relying on contested catches. I believe he's 6'6". This is a guy that has good route running, but he just can't get out of his breaks quick enough. He's accelerate a little faster, just needs to be a little cleaner, needs to pick up his footwork there. But, Garrett Wilson's a great player. I think he could easily be better than Chris Olave in the pros, but I think they're both can be great wide receivers. He's a guy who's going to be a dynamic playmaker. He's going to be going down the field a lot. So Garrett Wilson's going to be a guy who I'm going to target in the top 8 picks in the rookie drafts. After those Ohio State wide receivers, let's move on to the one Bama receiver I have on my list, and it's not John Mechie. it's Jameson Williams. This guy is just an amazing athlete. Speed and jumping, he's got it all. He gets down the field so quickly. He just eats up turf and grass. He's just down there. He's beat them, the corners. The Miami game, I think he had a 96-yard touchdown. Like, that's just nuts. Just ultra fluid athlete. Using separation due to that speed. This is something that I was talking about with Garrett Wilson. If you have that speed, you should be creating this separation deep, which is something that Jameson Williams does on a consistent basis. Jameson Williams, stock up, man. This guy's just flying up draft boards. He's flying up people's rankings. I had him in my top 12 starting the season off because I thought he would be Bama's number 2 receiver. But a lot of people are putting him in their top 12 now, and yeah, he deserves that. So Jameson Williams, he's going to be in my top 12 from here on out. And moving on to my first couple running backs, Devonte Price. This might be a name you haven't heard before. He's a running back out of FIU. This guy has speed to beat angles on tackles. Just great breakaway speed. If you let him get through the first hole, he's probably gone. So the one thing I do have on him is he's not the best pass catcher. Could be better, but he does catch balls when he does have separation. So catches wide open balls, which is a check for me. He has really good vision and patience, so he's able to read the offensive line sits behind him and then strikes. That also his speed just helps with that as a runner. He's more of a one-cut runner. He's a good runner. I like watching him. He's not a lot of tape on him yet, so we'll have to wait for more before we can solidify him as a top 12 prospect. But for me right now, he's going to be in my top 12 due to upside. Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker is my top running back in this class right now. Kenneth Walker, more like Kenneth the Runner, am I right? He has 3 games over 200 yards in 2021 against Rutgers, against Northwestern, and against Western Kentucky. So he's got this amazing ability with his lateral agility to get very low to the ground. This is something I don't want to say his name because I don't want to be comparing him to him, but Barry Sanders did this extremely well. He got really low to the ground, and it made him a smaller target for people to tackle. So Kenneth Walker does that really well. He had a 94-yard run against Rutgers, which is the longest play from scrimmage in Michigan State history. So there's no one really like Kenneth Walker. Transfer portal from Wake Forest to Michigan State this year, and just ate it up, man. This is a guy that just really used the transfer portal to his benefit. This is a guy that wasn't going to get starting duties at Wake Forest, but with a transfer, he was able to start at Michigan State and get all these yards. And he's now a Heisman Trophy candidate. I mean, it is a September Heisman candidate, but still something to rag home. We're going to see in the November schedule once he plays at Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. We'll see those numbers. If he can put up a 200-yard game against one of those, I'd say he's going to be in New York for the Heisman Trophy presentation. But, he's got to have, I think, just really good against those 3 teams to even win the Heisman. He's got to be over 200 yards in all those games because running backs usually not win the Heisman. Moving on to my next running back. This guy is so unselfish. He can do anything you ask of him. Run block. He can be a fullback, basically. That's Isaiah Spiller. Texas A&M has so many good running backs on that team that they don't even need to use him. So they give him 10 to 12 carries a game, and it's not enough for him. But, he's able to show his draft stock and be on this list. So clearly he's talented enough to be able to show out. He's a good receiver, like I said earlier. Just good at everything. It'll be interesting to watch Spiller's career. He's a better receiver than Peterson was, but I don't compare him to Adrian Peterson. I don't really have a comparison for Isaiah Spiller yet. I think he might be the first running back off the board just due to that fact. He can do everything. He's got 3 down back potential. And moving on, that's the last. I have one more running back on my list, and that's Breece Hall. He has been sliding for me a little bit. The cons on him are speed, and he's got a lot of miles on those tires, but the pros to him is his patience. He's got really good contact balance, and he has that 3-down ability that I was talking about with Isaiah Spiller. So the fact that Breece Hall has all these stats, it kind of concerns some people, and that's why they started to drop him, and the fact that he's not the fastest guy. I think that he'll be fine in the NFL. Put him on a team that just needs 4 to 5 yards per carry. He'll get that for you. So I think a team like the Falcons could really use him. But, the Falcons, they found Cordell Patterson. So Breece Hall, really good prospect, but we'll see where he goes. It's going to become a landing spot for me with Breece Hall. And then moving on to my last two guys, these are wide receivers that I don't have in the same tier as those other guys I was talking about earlier, and that's Drake London starting out of USC. He is a huge guy, like 6'5", but he plays the slot. So that's where the limitations come in for me. He's not really an outside receiver yet. He's got really good run after the catch ability. So he's one of those guys that'll hurdle people in the open field. He'll truck you in the open field. It doesn't matter. He'll just try to do whatever he can to get around you. And it's fun to watch. He hurdled one of the Colorado linebackers or safeties or something. He just took it in for a touchdown the other week. But moving on to the next guy and the last guy, that's David Bell, last but not least. He's got really solid movement skills, but he doesn't have great separation. He makes a lot of highlight reel catches, and he has a somewhat limited route tree at Purdue. I don't know if that's due to Purdue being the Purdue offense being like that, or if that's just David Bell's limitations. But I would say it's the Purdue offense being like that. I think that David Bell is a good route runner from what he's shown on tape. And he doesn't have the greatest movement skills, but he has enough to get open. And I wish he would have more separation. That's all I got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this. And that was my quick 12-minute, 12 prospect video.